The road to the White House is once again running through central Iowa. The promises Donald Trump is making to Iowans and what his supporters say will happen if he doesn't win.
I've taken ownership of this dog, trying to save her life.
A dog's life hangs in the balance of a judge's decision, why her owner argues she shouldn't be put down and why the city says otherwise.
Plus, changes are coming to one of Clive's most popular areas, what leaders are cooking up for the Greenbelt in the next few decades, and how you can help shape that future.
From WHO HD, the local news leader. This is Channel 13 News at 6.
A new poll by NBC News and SurveyMonkey shows Hillary Clinton's national lead over Donald Trump narrowing to just 4 points. Now, the Republican nominee is calling on Iowa voters to close that gap even more. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Erin Kiernan.
I'm Dan Winters. Trump spoke at a rally in Clive this afternoon, his fourth trip to Iowa since July.
Clinton has held just one event in the state since then. Political director Dave Price joins us now. Dave, some of Trump's appeal with supporters seems to be that he appeals to their sense of the past.
Right, and he talks about the murder rates going up in big cities right now and factories disappearing all over the country. He did not wear his big red trucker hat that reads "Make America Great Again" today. He also didn't bring many specifics of how he would make America great again, but he does lay out his themes.
This is Channel 13 News at 6.
A high-speed crash in a usually quiet Des Moines neighborhood sent 5 people to the hospital this afternoon. Good evening, I'm Erin Kiernan.
I'm Dan Winters. Police are describing this as a mass casualty situation.
Police tell us 3 of the injured are in critical condition. All of this unfolded at the intersection of Southeast 6th and Bell around 3:30 this afternoon. A witness told police that the driver of this red car sped through a stop sign, crashing into 2 other vehicles. Police say a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old are among the victims. They say the location of this incident might have contributed to just how serious it was.
When you're talking about high speeds on these road characteristics, these roads aren't designed for high speeds. And when you have a crash there, you're bound to have serious injuries and also not a lot of room to work with.
Police have closed off the intersection as they continue to investigate what happened here. Again, that's at Southeast 6th and Bell. Police have not given us any indication as to how long this intersection will be shut down. And to our other top story, a reported shooting in Des Moines. Police were called to 1369 Idaho within just the last 20 minutes. We still don't know who was shot or what condition this victim is in. We are following this story, though. We have crews there, and we will bring you more information as soon as it becomes available. All of this follows a wave of gun violence over the past few weeks in the metro.
Just last night, a man was shot in the chest near 30th and Boston. Channel 13's Ben Oldak tells us now how police are trying to take a stand against this violence.
When it comes to the weather, the RVTV crew has hit the jackpot.
The sun has been shining over Albia all afternoon. That's where we find Chief Meteorologist Ed Wilson with a first look at our forecast, and a lot of fun down there, Ed.
Guys, it has been so great. And you mentioned the jackpot. Well, cha-ching, we have made the jackpot for weather today.
From WHO HD, the local news leader. This is Channel 13 News at 6.
Really hot. It's been a struggle.
Detasseling corn is just awful no matter what, but add these triple-digit temperatures and the task becomes really unbearable. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Erin Kiernan.
I'm Dan Winters. This is the new normal. The extreme heat has settled in all across Iowa.
And it is here to stay, at least for a little while. So we check in now with meteorologist Brett McIntyre for a first look at the forecast. It's record-breaking weather.
It is certainly feeling like that with dew points into the 80s.
All week long, the Republican National Convention has been building up to tonight.
That's when Donald Trump will formally accept the presidential nomination. Coming up, hear what Iowa Republicans have to say about a major rift in the party.
And it's game on under the sweltering sun. We'll take you live to the semifinals of the state softball tournament.
Your conscience, vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom.
I am not in the habit of supporting people who attack my wife and attack my father.
Since last night, Ted Cruz's tone hasn't changed. In fact, it's gotten even more defiant. Cruz's decision not to endorse Donald Trump as the Republican presidential nominee sent shockwaves through the party.
Now Trump's trying to pull all this together here at the end and the convention on a high note. Political director Dave Price is in Cleveland all week. He joins us now live with the very latest.
Tournament time. The battles to be best in state are beginning. The big event that's kicking it off and what it means for the Metro's economy. Plus fiery debate, pros and cons of legalizing fireworks in Iowa, what state lawmakers are considering and why. And winter returns. We got a taste of spring this week. Now it's back to reality for a while. When to expect the weather to get messy here in the Metro.
From WHO HD, the local news leader. This is Channel 13 News, Today in Iowa Saturday.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Today in Iowa Saturday. I'm Eric Weeder.
And I'm Janae Town. We are following breaking news out of downtown Des Moines this morning.
Des Moines firefighters are still fighting a massive 3-alarm fire that claimed a century-old building downtown.
The 8-story former Yonkers building caught fire around 1 this morning, and the fire sent flames and heavy smoke high above the skies over downtown, eventually causing part of the building to collapse onto the street below.
Just incredible video. Very thankful no firefighters were injured there. We have team coverage this morning of the effort to douse the fire, plus keep everyone in the area safe.
Let's start first with Channel 13 Sonia Heitsusen. She joins us live from downtown Des Moines. Sonia, a lot going on. What are you seeing now?
Well, here's the latest information, Janae. Mid-American Energy is here and they are cutting power and gas to this block. I just talked with Brian O'Keefe from the Des Moines Fire Department. He tells me they're trying to contain that cutoff area to just the block that the Yonkers building is located in, but it may extend to 8th and Walnut, which is the building that you see right behind me, but it shouldn't affect much more than that downtown. You can see that firefighters are still on the scene here. At one point, there were 4 fire departments on the scene fighting this fire at the Yonkers building. We're told that Urbandale and Clive, I believe, have been told that they can return back to their stations, but Des Moines firefighters will remain here on the scene easily throughout the day. And this portion of downtown from 6th to 9th Street and from Grand to Mulberry will remain blocked throughout the day, and the immediate area surrounding the Yonkers building will likely remain blocked for several days. This all started about 10 to 1. That's when firefighters got the call. There were actually some Des Moines paramedics who were responding to a call on Court Avenue who said that they could see flames coming from the building. The firefighters went in to the 4th or 5th floor, and then they decided to pull back because the flames were so massive, and then the building started to collapse. And you can see much of the debris here is on the street. This is Walnut Street. Also, several other buildings in the area are affected. The Hub, the building that houses the Des Moines Partnership, and the EMC building, which is directly south of the Yonkers building. If you can see here, if we can have my photographer Lee Rouse pan up to the EMC building, you can see that there are windows that are blown out from the massive heat from this fire. Some of the steel in the building had started to melt, and Brian O'Keefe told us that there was debris from the Yonkers building that was as far away as Indianola Avenue. That's how big this fire was. It affects a large portion of downtown, and as I said, this will remain blocked off throughout the day. A lot of people are coming here to look, to see what's going on. Firefighters would prefer that everybody keep a distance here because this is still a very unstable structure. We have been told that we need to stay back a couple blocks from the building because it is so unstable. This is what Brian O'Keefe had to say earlier today about this fire.
The scaffolding collapsing, we're having internal collapsing, and the walls are already heaving on the upper levels, so we're ready for those brick and mortar to drop towards us. So we got to protect our people, protect our equipment.
Now, of course, it's very, very early on in this investigation. It's too early to say how this might have started, but what we can tell you is that this building was being remodeled. They were putting residential space in the upper floors of the building. There was going to be retail in the lower floors of the building. As you said earlier, this is an historic building, more than a century old. There's been a lot of talk about rebuilding this, rehabilitation. It was going to be a big part of the downtown rehabilitation. Now it is a complete loss, and several of the buildings surrounding it, as well as the skywalk, are also impacted. So this is a big hit for downtown.
All right, thank you, Sonia, for the very latest in downtown Des Moines. Of course, we'll be checking in with you more throughout the morning.
All right, and 90% of the department that was on duty was called to that Yonkers fire. It took crews just moments to arrive on scene and enter the building.
Des Moines Fire Chief John DeKipp is here this morning to talk more about this firefighting effort. And good morning, Chief. Why don't we start by just giving us kind of this timeline from when you were called to when you arrived, and then just the response from there.
Sure. The fire call came in about 10 minutes to 1 this morning. Our response was pretty quick, and of course we have units in that area. And on a first alarm, we send 3 fire engines, 2 ladder trucks, 2 medic units, and a district chief. And then there are additional waves or alarms. And this went from a first alarm fire to a second alarm fire to a third alarm fire, just because of the size of the fire when we first arrived. And we also received mutual aid assistance from Clive, West Des Moines, and Urbandale. They worked step for step with our folks within our system. We had emergency management, several other city departments. The police department was really significant in our operation. But it was a big fire, and Brian O'Keefe, our public information officer, really described it well. We have to be smart and take care of putting that fire out, but we also have to take care of our people. And in a size of a structure that's that big and an integrated system that's that complex downtown, that can be a challenge.
John, how do you guys move forward with this? Obviously, you're going to have to get in at some point and kind of check the integrity of these buildings. What are the next steps after you get this fire completely contained?
Well, when you first come upon the fire and you realize the structure isn't stable, you do a defensive operation from the outside, and that's largely what we've seen. And that allows us to kind of cut our losses, if you will. But we also continued some interior things because the subspace, there's the connections between the Des Moines Partnership and the Yonkers building is a way to transmit fire. And we're just getting through now the process of making sure that we're just handling some hot spots and not active fire anymore. Now we can move on to the expertise of our engineering department and public works and community development on the structural integrity of the skywalks, of the building itself. So then we can kind of step by step work our way back into taking care of anything hot that's left, and also conducting our investigation. Obviously, we can't do any of that until it's safe enough to go in and do the investigation.
Looking at just the pictures, and I assume you've been down on scene, you know just about how long that might take to contain everything, to put out some of those hot spots, to get the building so you can enter it and start that investigation? I
was hoping, you're always hoping for things to happen more quickly. I was hoping that we would be a little further than we are, but it was just a tough process this morning. And what we're doing literally right now is we're reconfiguring our fire trucks and hoses, because we are ahead of the fire, and we're making those changes. So in the time that we got ready to sit here, we're making that transition from really fighting fire to making an assessment. So it's really tough to give you a timeline.
Sure, I know, we're putting you on the spot, but I appreciate all of that. Okay, thanks a lot, Chief.
Sure.
All right, in the old Yonkers under construction, it was empty, but a crowd soon formed outside to watch the historic building burn. Let's head back downtown to Jody Whitworth. Jody, a shocking scene for people making their way back home early this morning.
It really was, Eric. You know, this fire was blazing when a lot of people were sleeping, but since it was early Saturday morning, Friday night, people were out enjoying themselves on Court Avenue, so there was a big group of people here to watch it. I was over just past those fire trucks down by the Quiznos, and I was watching with a group of people as they watched the fire burn and watched pieces of the building fall off.
We saw smoke. I thought it was a cloud or something, but we got closer to downtown and realized that there was these sparks are flying up everywhere.
Oh, the scaffolding is just collapsing, the building's collapsing, it's ridiculous.
Like it blew up and all of a sudden it was engulfed in flames.
Yeah, so people are really kind of walking around downtown right now. Some people are out enjoying their morning coffee. Some people have brought their cameras. Other people are just running by and walking by, but really try to avoid this area. I know there's a lot to look at, but it is still blocked off for several blocks around here. 6th and 9th Street are blocked off, as well as Grand through Mulberry. So again, this is an area to avoid, even though there is a lot to see here. Officers do want you to stay back and keep your distance.
All right, that was Jody Whitworth reporting live from downtown Des Moines, and we'll have much more from both Sonia and Jody later in the newscast.
Well, as you know, the old Yonkers building was a key part of the Walnut Street revitalization project, and developers plan to convert it into housing and retail space.
Des Moines Mayor Frank County joins us now. In Mayor County, let's speak a little bit about the importance of this building to just the continuing growth of that downtown area.
Well, this building certainly was a key landmark in the middle of downtown, and we've worked for over 10 years to try to imagine what that would be, and Alexander and company had stepped up and had undertaken about a $40 million remodel. We got 120 units of residential housing going in there, retail on the ground floor and in the skywalk, and some exciting plans. But you know, the one thing that I think that we have to all know is that downtown is seeing such a massive resurgence, not only in employment, but residences coming down, grocery stores coming down, interest in the kaleidoscope, reestablishing retail. While it's a devastating thing to see a landmark like this lost, and a tragic loss. And of course for me especially, because we were a retailer in downtown Des Moines for so long, and we were kitty-corner across the street at 8th and Walnut, and I remember as a kid going in and out of the windows seeing Santa Claus and everything else. So it's a tragic loss, but Des Moines is really on the move, and this won't hold us back, but it's going to cause us to reassess what Walnut Street's going to look like.
We're not just talking about the Yonker building and some of the surrounding areas, but they're talking about the skywalk system as well. So as the mayor of Des Moines, how concerning is that to look and see just the extent of the damage, and then the damage that we don't even know about yet?
Exactly, and I think we have all of our city engaged. We certainly have Public Works engaged as a deal with sewer and water and debris. We have the fire department, as you've heard, doing a fabulous job and coordinating sort of a regional effort on it. We've got our community development department that's getting engaged. The city manager's office is engaged. Economic development is engaged. So everything is coming together on this, because it is such a strong focal piece in downtown Des Moines.
Now, Mayor, this is a project that you said was 10 years in the making. At what point do you get to sit down with the City Council and kind of hash the next step forward a little bit?
Well, I think we have to talk with Alexander and company and see what their vision is moving forward, and how they want to deal with it. They own the property. They're going to move forward. We certainly have worked with them in terms of certain incentives to enhance what we all dreamed and hoped that this historic landmark would look like in the future. But let's sit down with them and see what they think after everything is analyzed. You mentioned the skywalks. I mean, we've got 3 skywalks bridges coming into that area, so we have to be really aware of the critical nature of that, because it really is part of the center of the hub of the skywalk system. There's ways to get around it, so it's not going to stop traffic getting around downtown through the skywalk system, but they may have to take a little bit of a detour to get around it. But we do have to analyze that structure as well. Every piece of it needs to be looked at, make sure that it's structurally sound, it has integrity moving forward. Do we need to take it down? How does it mix in with whatever the dream is for the future of that corner between 7th and 8th and Walnut?
All right. A speed bump, but one that the city of Des Moines will overcome.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And we will be back with more today on Iowa Saturday, including Megan's forecast.
Right after this commercial break.